Hello and welcome to another episode of Film Freaks with a Z, the podcast all about movies. Some of them have Z's. Actually, I don't know if we've actually had a movie that starts with Z. Yeah, maybe someone will break maybe Nick will break that trend later in the episode when he chooses his movie. But before we get to that, I just wanted to remind everyone that you can join in on the podcast. That's right. You can put your movie in for the fan vote, which happens it happens during Tay's episode. So when we talk about Tay's movie, that's when the vote happens on my social media account at Yemmy the Ferret. And people vote on movies. You can have your movie you can include your movie in the poll by either sending us a comment on YouTube on the latest episode of Film Freaks with a Z, or you can send us an email at filmfreaks@gmail.com. All right. Or actually, new way to do it. You can go onto my Discord, the Ferret Nation Discord, and you can talk in the movies category, and you can suggest a movie from there, like our friend Antiskew did a few weeks ago. Alright, so before we introduce the movie, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. I am Yemmy the Ferret. Who am I here with?
Greedy Waffle.
Taymation.
And Kuro Gamer.
Hello, everyone. How are we all doing today?
Oh,
Good. We're right away in the Halloween thing, Yemmy.
That's my normal voice. Damn it.
Yeah, I didn't notice anything different.
yeah.
Coco's
That was just
making fun
Yemmy's
of me.
voice.
Changed his voice or whatever, that's what I heard. I thought he was doing something for some spooky weighted tone of voice, but and that could just been my
Halloween is past, Coco.
Yeah.
We've moved on to bigger and better things than
Effing chat.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Halloween's never over though.
Yes. The
some
Halloween
people.
season should last all year long if I have
Yes.
something to say about it.
Yes. It is
But
always
then it wouldn't be special. You guys would get sick of it.
No, we won't.
Well, I mean,
say
I
that
have
now.
seen that Fairly Odd Parents episode, so
Mm.
where he wishes
good
for Christmas every day, and Santa almost commits not live because of he's making so many toys.
We could scare people 24/7 though.
Well, maybe you could, Coco.
Yeah.
I'm happy with just having the decorations up. You know what I'm saying? Coco's like, I want to scare people nonstop. My grandma, boo.
I could stick with one season though for the whole year. Maybe not like a holiday, but like one season that'd be great.
Every month is fall.
Sure.
Oh,
At
that's
least
pretty nice,
summer.
especially-
I don't want anything cold.
yeah. I was like, fall where I'm at is usually pretty good. It's in the 80s, so that's like 80s, 70s, 80s, and it's like, yeah, that's nice. And then suddenly, like, a switch is flipped, and someone's like, oh, here, have 50-degree weather, and you're like, why?
Basically.
Although I could deal with fall here all the time. No,
Yeah.
40 degrees one day, 70 the next.
Yeah.
Snow the
We
next
might,
day.
Yeah.
we,
We're
we
getting way
might have
off
the
task.
common cold all year round, but
I do have a question, though, guys. Is this podcast about holidays and seasons or movies?
I don't know.
I mean, the movie that we're going to talk about today had a lot of seasons in it,
yeah.
so it all comes back together.
There you go.
Because the movie that I recommended the last episode was Master and Commander, The Far Side of the World. Now, I didn't do the research, but I don't think they originally had The Far Side of the World as a subtitle to this movie originally, because I don't remember it having a subtitle originally, but, I mean, I guess it just, I don't know, it's fine. What am I going to criticize the movie for its title? This movie came out in
Yes,
2003. It was directed by Peter Weir. And the synopsis of the movie is, after an abrupt and violent encounter with a French warship that inflicts severe damage upon the ship, a captain of a British Royal Navy, the British Royal Navy, begins a chase over two oceans to capture or destroy the enemy, though he must weigh his commitment to duty and ferocious pursuit of glory against the safety of his devoted crew, including the ship's thoughtful surgeon, also his best friend. This movie stars Russell Crowe, Paul Bettany, James D'Arcy, Edward Woodall, Chris Larkin, Max Purkis, Lee Ingleby, and Billy Boyd, just to name a few of the head actors. And I guess I kind of want to start this off by saying, during the middle of the film, after there was a huge drought, like windless time, and the boat is just sitting there because there's no wind, and the sailors are getting reckless, and the one guy, sinks to the bottom of the ocean because he thinks it's his fault. The commander of the Marines that are on board, or like the British army on board, they're the guys in the red jackets. He decides to try and shoot an albatross, and as we all know, killing an albatross brings bad luck. So what possessed this dude to try and shoot an albatross and then instead shoot the surgeon? So it did still bring bad luck. But it's just like you just went through this whole part of the ship where it's like, oh, we're out of water, we're out of food. What are we gonna? There's no wind. We're stuck here. And then he's like, as soon as the rain starts coming, he's like, I'm gonna kill this bird that's fabled to bring us all bad luck. I'm the smartest man here.
Here's my thoughts.
That's it.
One, they were out of food. Yeah, I was like, one, they were out of food, so he was probably trying to get food. Two, he wasn't a naval guy, so he probably didn't know about the bad luck. While the other, I don't know why the actual Navy people didn't try to stop him. Like, whoa, dude, that's bad luck. Don't do that. That I don't know, but
Yeah.
Well, they probably kind of known, but probably didn't know. But still, it's like
It's probably just. Go ahead. Sorry.
But also he's like, as soon as he starts shooting, like, oh, this is such a bad idea. One, because he's shooting like above, but he's not shooting too high.
Well, he doesn't actually shoot a bullet until he pops the surgeon. I mean, the rifles back in the day, 1800s, only had one shot before you had to reload. So it wasn't like he had like a machine gun going.
I know, but it's a little dangerous shooting a ball.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's obviously it's dangerous since he, shot the surgeon in the process of hunting this bird.
Yeah. Poor surgeon there is just like, oh, it's a pretty bird. Just good.
I guess you can kind of just crack it down to him being so bored he wants to do something. Because, I mean, if you're a part of like the standing army on the ship from the British, I guess you really don't have anything to do most of the time, because you're not trained in the art of naval warfare unless you're being boarded or you're boarding another ship.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, you were going to say something?
I was just gonna say it probably just out of desperate. I mean, he was hungry, maybe. I mean, I don't know that part. I don't know. That was kind of I hate to sink the ship right here, but that was kind of the iceberg for me, where the movie just started to go way downhill.
Way downhill.
Whoa.
Yes, way downhill. And I'll get to my opinion later, but
well, I mean, that's the point in the movie where everything starts to kind of pick up because you're not sure whether the surgeon's gonna live or die, and then he does the surgery on himself on the Galapagos Islands. He finally gets to the Galapagos Islands, and even though I didn't enjoy the Galapagos Islands part of the movie, I think that it was a good kind of like that midway point where there's not really a rising there's not really action. It's just more like some suspense mixed in there with, just kind of
character development.
Character development in there, and it's just like a little bit of a lull in the film. And once you get to that part where the surgeon does surgery on himself, I think the movie starts to kick back up right there, because then they spot the ship on the other side of the islands and they're chasing after it, and that's when like the big finale happens. So I think from even though there was this lull in the movie where they're stuck and they're just kind of doing naval stuff, I think once the surgeon gets shot there, and then the rain starts falling and stuff, I think that the movie starts to go back up in terms of quality and watchability.
Yeah, one thing is that first half of the movie was the showing off the ship, some of the characters and action scene and very slow dialogue moments. Then it's halfway point, and it's everything's happening right now.
Well, yeah, they started off with a really great action scene, and I really liked how I know we're kind of skipping around a little bit, but I think I think we really should talk about the beginning because I really like the visual, the ship in the fog, and then all you see is the mortar shots happening, and then you're like, well, they're screwed. I've played Black Flag before. I know what happens next.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good starting point because that also, like, you know, this guy who's on watch, who's this lieutenant who, you know, no one likes, it kind of starts his character development of, you know, he's not really liked by the crew, and it kind of grows from there because no one believes that he saw a ship until Jack sees the ship himself. I think that's a good place to start his character.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't even see it until the lightning happened, so...
No, he saw it in the fog, and that's why he...
Yeah, he saw a shadow of it.
He ordered... That's why the other guy ordered everyone to get to their posts, and he got Jack out of his cabin.
Yeah. He's just like, I haven't seen anything. It's like, well, like, he wouldn't... One thing, it's like, he wouldn't, like, call you over if he thought it was nothing.
I mean, he could. I mean... Yeah, I mean, it's hard to make out some... I mean, the fog is pretty thick, but... You know, you see it for 1 second because there's a break in the fog, and you see like the mast or whatever, and then it just goes away for a while because that fog was pretty thick.
Yeah, the fog was really thick.
Well, I mean, I want to know is how did the other ship see that ship? You know, if they couldn't see them, how was the other ship able to like see and fire?
Well, I mean, my thought is that they were scoping them out for a while, and you know. Just because they're in the fog doesn't mean they can't see out of the fog for the most part. I think that they can line up. I think they can line up the shot, and I definitely think that they're scoping them out, you know, beforehand. You know, I mean, they were anchored in a spot. You know, it's not like the ship was moving.
Yeah,
at least I don't remember it moving.
Seen them and then went into the fog to hide.
Oh yeah. Then they all got blasted, and then they used it, and then they used the fog to get out of there.
Yeah, it was kind of like the old switcheroo.
Yeah. So you used to fog get me, I used to fog get out.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised the ship actually survived that in the first battle. It was so damaged.
Yeah, I mean, it may be a little bit unrealistic that it got out of that. Plus, I believe that they kept saying that the French ship was faster than them anyways. So,
yeah.
I mean, you can lose them like they did with the different like little tricks that Jack pulled. But at that point, you think that the French ship would turn around pretty fast and follow them into the fog and be able to catch up to them. But I guess you don't really want to like just go steam headlong into a fog without knowing the territory, you know? Because what if there's a fucking giant rock right there that's on the British maps, but it's not on the French maps?
Iceberg that comes up. It's like, hello.
I mean, I don't know about iceberg.
No, I'm just making a Titanic joke for it.
Yeah, I think they were in the Caribbean at that point.
Yeah.
I know it won't be an iceberg. I was just making a Titanic joke.
Oh, making fun of a tragedy,
wow.
Coco. Wow.
Coco. Coco be like Titanic 1.5 out of 5.
Oh, got him. I really like the character growth in this movie, though. Throughout the whole thing, I mean, there was so many characters who... I don't know the name of every character, but you know their face for the most part. Because they lots of them have very distinct faces, and I think one of the better character growth characters... I don't know how I'm describing it. One of the better characters in the movie actually was the little kid who gets his arm cut off at the beginning. And you know, you see a kid in a movie and you go, oh no. But he was actually really good, and even the kid who got promoted to lieutenant was actually pretty good too. But I think that he had the best character growth, where you know he's doing this stuff with the surgeon, and then he's also like doing stuff with the ship and stuff. But I think everyone kind of had their moments in this for sure.
Like yeah, it's real like different. But when they one guy who thinks I can't remember what he was, but when the one guy thinks he's cursed, and as soon as he says like you're always very nice to me, I'm like, oh no, something's gonna go wrong, and then he jumps off.
That was a pretty powerful moment too.
Yeah, that was a great moment, I should say.
But yeah, you can kind of see that coming as he's going through the ship, and But it's not like it was just like a flip of the switch kind of thing. Like they built, like I was saying, they built that up from the beginning of the movie. Even when he started to sing with the crew, everyone stopped, and then they were all like fake saluting him because the one guy got the lashes and all that, and then the ship was stuck, and that's why. Yeah, he overheard the conversation of them talking about how he was the bad luck or whatever. So. But yeah, it was a very powerful moment in the movie. Like you kind of expected it when he started grabbing the cannonball and was talking nice to the kid, but it's still like a moment that's like, whew.
Yeah, he got dark, pretty dark in half a second. Or not, but well, you know what I mean.
I mean, yeah, it's not like it's a lighthearted, funny movie either. It's a pretty serious drama for the most part.
Yeah.
It's just on a ship,
Yeah.
And I don't remember much of the movie when I originally watched it, because I watched it back in theaters in like 2003 or 3, and I was expecting like a pirate adventure, and I remember the parts of the movie that were like action packed. I remembered a few of those things in there, but I think the movie came together quite well with the drama intertwined between the two big action scenes.
Actually, if I were to disagree with you, Yemmy, about that Galactus Island part, I actually really enjoyed that part because I felt like kind of like made sense. Kind of made sense. Like back then, on the ship, you only have much knowledge of what's actually happening in the world, especially during that time period of what I think they're in. And it's cool to see them discovering animals around that stage for me.
Yeah, I mean, in the context of the movie, it didn't really make sense to me. Even though like the surgeon obviously really wanted to go to these islands, and they finally did take him there after the bullet went into him. But I just found like that part to be the longest part of the movie in my mind. Like as I was watching it, I really felt the runtime at that part, because I wasn't really interested in the crew playing cricket or whatever, and them finding the animals and all that.
I will say, I knew that when he was like climbing up the hills, like, oh, he's going to see the French ship. I mean, it's very obvious setting up for that.
Definitely. You made a sacrifice and leave.
Yeah, it's like he's either not going to tell the captain it's going to cause ship for them, or he's going to tell the captain they have to leave. Yeah. I was hoping he didn't tell the captain so it would cause ship for him. That I think would have made more drama, been a little better. But no, it was just, oh, we got to go. Okay.
Well, I mean, in the end, the surgeon and Jack were friends, so
yeah,
I think they were.
True.
I mean, for the most part, they were friends first over, military comrades, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Well, we have a conversation every movie about it, but what do you guys think of the CGI?
Well, this movie
because I thought it was pretty alarming at some points, but then again, 2003 can't bash on too much. But I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I didn't really notice the CGI. I just noticed the practical effects, and they really held up. Even though the blood didn't look as good as, like nowadays, obviously, it just kind of looked like water with red in it. But I think that like the stuff that like they did a close up on, like the surgeon, doing surgery on himself, the kid's arm when it was, blasted with wood. There's a few other things that stood out to me. For the most part, I don't think there was much CG in this movie at all, if any. I think it was all. I mean, I don't know about the waves part. I'm pretty sure that was in like a contained pool that they were doing that.
And their ships firing. Those are CGI.
Well, I mean, those are just. I mean, they actually fired the cannons. They didn't have any shots in them, but they actually fired the cannons. I mean, maybe the ship in the fog was CG, but I didn't really notice it. I mean, you were saying it was jarring. I didn't. All I noticed was the practical stuff. I didn't even notice that there was CG in the movie at all.
We're just too focused on the movie. We're not focusing on the CGI. Because CGI
wasn't any CGI.
CGI wasn't a big part in the movie anyway. Too.
Well, like I said, I mean, even like the stuff like where the waves are crashing and the like. I know there was maybe a few shots of the ocean when they panned that maybe looked like CG because they had to edit in that stuff because a wake pool is only so big and they have the prop ship in there. But other than that, I mean, I don't think there was much CG in the movie at all. Like I said, they were actually firing guns and cannons with blanks in them, so it made it look more realistic than putting a muzzle flash on a gun in a YouTube video,
Yeah, exactly.
But if you saw CG that was bad, let us know. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it was nothing like. It was just like you see the battleship, and then it just you see 3 cannons fire, and then just the splash effect from the cannons. Those just it was so quick and sudden that maybe I just was expecting it. I was just like, oh, CGI, or I don't know. It just looked like almost like just like a picture was just like splattered on the screen real quick and then taken off.
Yeah, I
Good man.
I don't.
But I didn't notice much.
Yeah, I didn't notice either. Tay, you're our CG master.
He said I didn't notice any CGI.
Yeah.
But like I'm sure that I noticed some like crappy green screen stuff, but I don't consider that CGI.
I mean,
And
it could have
some
been
random.
It could have been green screen, just a ship firing.
Yeah,
But
like I know
it
the
just- it didn't look
albatross.
real. That's
The
point.
albatross flying around the ship, that was like a green screen effect that did not look good. And then anytime they showed the animals like through the spyglass, I'm like, oh, we just get some stock footage here. Okay, cool.
Yeah, those I do remember those.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I mean, it wasn't really that big of a deal to me personally. But well, I guess I did knock Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom for this stuff. So maybe I'll knock this movie a little bit for it too, huh? The green screen effects were bad. The animals looked fake.
The animals definitely and like white animals did look like kind of fake. It was cool to see in context, but other than that, it wasn't. I did enjoy the scene, but yeah, I did pick that up on the animals. Just didn't look that good.
Yeah, I'm sure most of the animals from like the like sweeping shots and stuff like that were real, but the ones like that were close up, like the ones inside the baskets, and stuff like that, or like I think they were holding one at one point that I think was fake too, like the bug, the stick one was
Beetle. Yeah.
Well, yeah, the beetle definitely I think was fake. It's hard to say. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
It might have been real. I mean, it's not that hard to get a beetle.
But a specific
Unless it's
Galapagos
an
beetle?
actual beetle.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless it's an actual beetle from the Galapagos. I can't even say that word.
Galapagos Island.
Yeah, unless it's an actual beetle from the island, then it might be difficult. But
I don't know. Now Nick has me second guessing everything.
Is the ship real now?
the ship actually was not real. No, shut up. No.
Are they real people? Real actors?
It's
The
all
whole
just
thing was CG.
deep fakes.
No one was actually there. They're all just voiceovers. Trying to think of what else in the movie because it's been a little bit since I watched it.
So the biggest thing I want to talk about is towards the end, so I'm waiting.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll go ahead and say it. I mean, the whole middle of the movie was just boring. Like, I have nothing to say about the middle. I'm sorry. Like, it's just boring.
Like,
Yeah,
the cinematography was really good.
Yeah.
The acting was good. But yeah, it was a little boring.
It's just, the middle is just like, it was so mind-numbing to me. It was just, I don't know.
I found it all really interesting because they, I mean, it's not like every second on a ship is going to be boom pow action, you know?
True.
Yeah.
And I mean, they kind of went through like all the different things that a sailor can run into on the ocean. You know, droughts of no wind, really rough seas. Finding ships out in the blue and not and then just kind of like trying to chase them down and you can only sail so fast. The trickery in the middle of the film was really cool too, where he had the kid light the lanterns on the raft, and the other ship followed the raft. I think one of the better scenes of this movie is that scene where the waves are all crashing around and the mast falls down and Jack has to decide right then and there, like, should we even try and save this guy who's been cast out in the sea? Like, that's intense. That's good. That's character growth. And like Tay said, the acting was really good, and the cinematography really puts the icing on the cake. And even though you might find it boring, I found like all the little naval stuff in there where they're talking about tactics and they're just doing some character growth inside the cabin where they're all eating and drinking, and you're kind of learning about the different lives that these people live. And I just found it really interesting. Like I said, the only time that the movie really slowed down for me was on the Galapagos Islands, which seems to be the opposite for you guys. So, but I think the movie did a really good job of showing just how a sailor lived in those days. And yeah, sure, maybe it makes for something a little bit more boring. It's not just action throughout the whole movie, but I think that it really helps you understand like what these guys are going through, and you kind of grow with these characters until that big bombastic ending.
Yeah.
And you start losing people.
for me, like the dinner scenes actually didn't really work for me. Like, I was just like, I can't tell I couldn't tell most of them apart. I know you said earlier like you could, but I couldn't.
I knew their faces. I didn't know their names.
Yeah, I could tell some of their faces, but there was one time like I was like, wait, did they just kill off the guy from Lord of the Rings? Oh no, it wasn't him. It was a different guy. Like there was a few times like that where I was like, I don't know which guy just died. I can't even tell.
Yeah, true. When that one guy like can't remember who is he. Like one guy died. It was a whole sad thing. I'm like, who is he again?
Yeah, the mast. The guy on the mast.
Yeah, he did look a lot like another character in the movie. That's for sure.
I thought he was a surgeon for a second, and it was like, oh wait, no, I see a surgeon there.
No, the surgeon had a distinct look to him. I never got confused about the surgeon.
Yeah, I could. Like Paul Bettany and Russell Crowe and like the guy from Lord of the Rings. Those were the three I could kind of tell. But then there was a few guys who looked like was it Billy Boyd? Was that his name? Lord of the Rings guy. He was Pippin in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
or Merry.
He was Merry. He was Merry in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
I thought it was Pippin, but no, it was Merry.
Yeah,
because Pippin was the guy from Lost.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think.
Can't remember now.
It was
forever since
I haven't watched Lost in like a long time.
No, Lost is a big part of my childhood, so that's why I remember the actors from that.
Oh, I liked Lost. I watched it the first two seasons recently, and then I stopped because I was like, well, this is where it goes downhill. So
well, you're not wrong.
They made a smart decision.
But I like I said, for the movie, going back to Master and Commander, I mean, I didn't find it too hard knowing who was who, but that guy who did die from being cast overboard did look a lot like another guy who was like a friend of his. So when the guy was going through the stuff, I was like, didn't you just fall off the boat? But it wasn't the same guy.
Because it was one of the two guys who came in to be like, oh, I know what that boat is. And they recreated the model of the French boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like all I knew of them. It's like, okay, and like there was no character growth for them after that. I don't think it was just.
I don't think they
we
even got much screen time.
Hey, one of them's dead. Okay.
They got my mind, but okay.
Yeah.
Like...
That's why like the dinner scenes didn't work for me because I was just like. Because mainly, I remember them just talking about some other naval captain. It's like, who cares about this naval captain?
Well, I felt like they didn't do a good job of portraying them being drunk. It felt very unauthentic.
Yeah, it felt like they're just the same way.
Were they supposed to be drunk? Because they did not come off
so.
Yeah, they were supposed to be drunk. Yeah, but it just
they drank too much of that seawater.
Yeah,
that causes scurvy. Yeah, the dinner scenes, because they were I felt like they were supposed to be drunk because I mean they were all kind of doing things out of character a little bit, and I didn't think the acting was as strong in those dinner scenes, but I did like the music that played during those scenes, and I think I liked the music, the soundtrack for this all the way through, even up until the end. I listened to that whole ending credits song; it's really good.
I didn't notice really.
You didn't notice the really great music at the end of the credits?
No.
All
I
right, you
didn't.
guys are going to have to go back and rewind, or at least go to the soundtrack on YouTube and
I
listen
would
to
say,
that
yeah.
Yemmy song. Because it was really,
I'm
it was
not
really
renting
good.
the movie just to listen to one song.
Well, I think
that can
the
find on
entire soundtrack
Spotify
was
for
good. I mean,
free.
it had like it almost was like a more serious Pirates of the Caribbean type thing. You know how Pirates of the Caribbean is more like it's bombastic and it's got those like themes of like oh, Captain Jack, he's a drunk guy. Well, this movie had like a more serious tone to it. It actually used music from the time to incorporate into it. So when they were fake playing the violin and cello, they were actually playing real songs that were made in the 1800s.
Yeah.
And then the ending song was a combination of one of the songs that they were playing in one of the scenes, and I thought it was really nice sounding song, and I listened to the whole thing.
Yeah, that was another area where their acting fell flat a little bit. Is everyone could tell they were fake playing those instruments.
Yeah, I mean that's a problem with a lot of movies though, where the actors, these people don't actually know how to play them, and they've just seen other people play them, and they go, oh, you gotta move your fingers around like this, and you gotta use your bow really really hard, and it's like no, it's very subtle stuff when you're actually playing these instruments, but
yeah,
but it's nothing like major because like it would take a longer time if you actually had to learn how to use the instruments and all that.
Oh, they don't have to learn how to do it. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, just faking it is fine. But when you actually like look at it and break it down, it kind of falls apart. And I think if they had at least taught them like the finger movements, they could have looked a little more realistic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or the bow, especially because the violin, when he's doing the bow. I mean, I've watched a few videos online of breaking down some fake performances, and they always like do these big strokes with the bow when they're not supposed to be, because the violin has like a very finite amount of sound that it can make because the bow is only however long, so in the context of the song it would have made sense for him to do a long stroke and then play another note like really long as well. I don't have to explain it to you guys. You get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
It's just like when you see fake drumming, it's like it doesn't look exactly right, but it's passable, so you go, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Although, playing drums would be, somewhat easier than like playing a violin.
Well, that's true, but
Hate the violin.
wow, okay.
Wow.
Coco's violinist
I played
here.
the violin for like one like a quarter at school. I gave up that. I did not like it at all.
I like the violin.
And
Like I
that
don't
has
play
scarred
it, but
Coco ever since.
Yeah, I like
As
the
long as-
violin, and people play it is impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as people know how to play it, I don't mind it.
Well, yeah, any
Yeah,
any
yeah.
instrument
I don't mind
can
people
be
playing
like
Unless you get
violin.
those
I just don't like
people who
playing
like,
violin.
miss that one note and it's just like your ears burst.
Well, you also get
Yeah.
those times when they're like a little bit off, like they're a little bit out of tune. So it's like how the note's supposed to sound. Like as a trumpet player, I can tell when people are playing out of tune with the trumpet because there's a perfect pitch for a C, and when people don't hit that, which is it's one of the most common notes in the trumpet's repertoire because it's open notes, and it doesn't sound exactly like right. You're like, yeah, you should probably have tuned a little bit better during the warm up, but.
Yeah,
It's
and that's true for every instrument, though. It's like, oh, if someone knows how to play it, it sounds amazing. If they don't, it sounds like garbage.
Right.
Like I don't think there's any instrument out there that it doesn't matter if you can't play it, it sounds good.
Yeah, even the triangle. I mean, you can make the triangle sound bad.
Gotta know when
Yeah.
to hit that
triangle
triangle.
solo.
Gotta know that down.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways,
Let's talk
about
about
our
the
music
end.
podcast.
The end of the movie here, because I think
Yes.
that's where we're kind of going in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
The ending was pretty good. I don't know about you guys, but I really enjoyed the ending action scene. And then I found like because you like I was saying, you kind of went with these characters throughout this entire movie. Like the deaths of the characters were actually kind of shocking to me, especially the reveal at the end with the newly acquired lieutenant was killed. And I think that really hit a chord with me, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a little
I
sad.
thought the ending scene was actually a little too fast. I honestly would have liked it to be a little longer.
You mean like,
I don't know.
how do you mean the ending scene? Because I'm talking about the ending action in general.
Yeah.
Like the ending, like the ship battle.
Well, you see that lasted for 20 minutes? So,
Yeah.
I don't know. It
How
just
long
seemed
do
it
you
was like
want?
15 to 20 minute battle.
No, it wasn't
Yeah.
that long. No way.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
You
was only like
enjoyed it
50
so
minutes.
much
20
that you
minutes
didn't
left.
realize how long it was.
From the initial, like, from when they were doing all the stuff to hide all the weapons and stuff
Mm-hmm.
to the end of the movie where the credits start rolling is about a 15 to 20 minute range there.
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe I
that
liked it
means
so
because
much.
like that means the battle itself would have been like 10 minutes, if because then there's like 5 minutes after the battle, and then the movie ends abruptly, and you're like, what? Anyone else feel that way? Like I
movie
felt
wasn't
like
really
the movie
No, no, no.
abruptly
It,
ended
it was
super
almost
abruptly.
like it was like because he had the realization that the guy who was supposedly the captain of the French ship wasn't actually the French ship, and he had to turn around. And right there is like the ending. Like you're asking a few questions. It's like the ending of The Thing almost, where it's like,
Yeah.
should the movie have ended there? Maybe not, but it leaves enough questions on the table that you can kind of figure out yourself what's going to happen next. Maybe the French will try and retake over the ship because the captain's actually still alive, or maybe the captain actually did die and they were just faking it to get their way through.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things like I didn't mind that ending because the story was kind of resolving itself, and then they were like, oh, but wait. And I felt like that was a really good, like, a little thing to give me a little bit of intrigue, keep me up at night thinking about it,
Yeah.
Thing with this type of movie, I don't want to think about it afterwards. I just like you stop the French, it's like cool, that's it, and then it turns out, oh wait, maybe they didn't. And you're like, okay, so was there supposed to be another movie, or did you guys decide you were just done? Like I didn't.
That's
like
a
it at all.
mystery.
Like,
Again,
all right,
like
let's go home.
kind of like what Crew did. It had some like, well, not Crew didn't leave on a cliffhanger, but it still had like that, like in the middle, it was like who did it, who did not, and it had multiple endings, so you don't know which one's like the true ending, I should say.
Yeah, I didn't feel that way at all. I just felt like it's like, oh, so it wasn't like I don't. For me, I'm just like, okay, so the guy who's pretending to be the doctor was actually the captain, and he's going to take back the ship. So everyone's gonna die, and then there's going to be more battles, and it's just going to continue how the rest of the movie is gone, except we don't get to see it. So we didn't really actually get a conclusion.
Yeah.
Well, I think the conclusion is that, this war isn't going to just end with one ship battle being won, It's that long process of hunting and finding them and taking them out, but even after you take them out and take them captive, there's still more war to be fought,
Kill one head and two more reappear.
Right. I think that it's a good, I don't know if it's like a metaphor, but it's a good way of being like, hey, even though they've just won this huge battle, there's still more to come. There's still danger. It's still going on. It's not like it's over after this one fight.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I know that, but I don't know. Just
I guess
the
you
whole
can
point of the movie
you
was
can take
this
solace in the
friendship.
fact that the main part of the movie was just them hunting down the ship and taking it, and they took the ship.
Yeah, true.
They took the ship, but maybe they didn't because there was more subterfuge.
Yeah, but they would have locked most of the guys in the brig anyways.
Yeah.
Except for the
I
people
would
who were
assume
injured.
so.
You would think that they would put
But-
most of them in the...
They would have left like, hey, we need a doctor. Here's a doctor, which is actually the captain, and he easily would have gotten everyone out of the brig.
Oh, let's say that he's not really a good surgeon or a doctor, and he's just trying to fake it. And I think that they would be able to figure it out pretty quickly if he wasn't actually a doctor. I mean, they've seen the surgeon on Captain Jack's ship. He's meticulous. He's very thorough. If a captain is trying to fake it to make it, and he's not doing the things that the surgeon on their ship would do, I think that they would be able to notice, the subtle differences or major differences depending on how good of an actor he is.
Or maybe they should go, man, the French are weird.
Well, you see how they're dressed? Look at their surgeon. He's killing everyone.
I'd say for that scene, one thing I want to say, I'm glad he took the sword. He looked like he actually appreciated that he got that even though he didn't know if he killed the captain or not, he still appreciated like the captain's request.
Yeah, the captain would give over the sword back in those days to signify surrender or whatever. In this case, I don't think that was actually the captain's sword. I think it was a nice sword, but I don't think it was the captain's sword. And that might have pissed off Russell Crowe even more in that case, because he was like, "Give me a
Wait, this is Yemmy a sword?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that would also signify that they didn't stop fighting, or they won't stop fighting. So that's why he wants to get back to the ship real quickly, even though the other ship can outrun them, if we remember from the movie. But that's just the risk that you take on the open seas.
Well, the thing is, at the very end, like it zooms out, they were still within like eye shot of each other. I think the other ship immediately, would have looked back and gone, "Oh, hey, wait, they're coming back. Let's stop and wait for them."
You would have to use a spyglass to see them clearly. I mean, you're making it seem like they were like right next to each other, but they were actually a pretty good.
No, they were
pretty good.
But if you were on the mast, of the one ship, you'd still be able to see it. Like they'd be tiny, but you'd be able to see them.
It'd be tiny, but you have to squinch very far.
They have the guy on top has a spyglass. I mean, that's the point of being up there.
Yeah, without radios and stuff, you don't know why they turned around. I guess. I don't know.
It's just like a mystery. For no damn.
Yeah, no, you would stop. You'd be like, "Oh, they're coming back. What do they need?"
Well, no, Tay. Put yourself into the boots of a newly promoted captain who is trying to do everything perfectly, and he's trying to follow his orders that Jack just gave him, telling him, "Hey, don't stop. Go for go back to England or whatever." I don't know.
Just randomly turn around. I was like, "Fuck you! I do what I want."
Well, that'd be mutiny, and
he's the captain. He does what he wants.
But it's like the old captain, instead of giving an order, he reminded he would actually do it, but still be funny if he just like, in the end, he's like, "Fuck you," and then just turns around.
Well, not every movie is Deadpool, so.
Yeah, true.
Thankfully. I like Deadpool, but as we discussed. But if every movie was like that, God, that'd be awful.
The movie and she won't be doing as good as it was before the pandemic.
So this movie actually won 2 Oscars. One of them for sound editing, which I agree with that, and the other one for cinematography, which is like, yeah, of course, I agree with that as well.
Yeah.
I think 2 awards that they definitely deserved. It was nominated for a bunch of other ones too, like Best Picture, Sound Mixing, Visual Effects, Director, Costume Design, Film Editing, blah, 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 blah. But I think they won the 2 that I think stuck out to me. Sound Editing and Cinematography were definitely 2 of the top accolades of the movie for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I do notice, or I do remember noticing, like, that sometimes, like, the cinematography was great, but sometimes they, like, tried to get artsy and they would just randomly show, like, an anchor for, like, 30 seconds, like, an anchor in the water, and you're like, why am I seeing this? And there was a few shots like that where they were just random shots that you could tell they were just trying to be artsy, and you're like, okay, that's a thing, I guess.
Like... Yeah, then I was like watching. It's like, are they stopping or are they just showing an anchor?
Right. But other than that, like I said, I really did enjoy the cinematography. It was just those random shots where you're like, okay, you guys are trying to be artsy here, and this isn't really super artsy. But okay.
Yeah. It's.
All right. Anyone else have anything they want to say about Master and Commander?
I think I got everything I wanted to say.
I got everything.
All right. So let's go ahead and move on to our final thoughts and score. And of course, I'll lead us off because it's my movie recommendation. So Master and Commander. I'm just gonna call it Master and Commander because. Fuck the far side of the world. That's what it's called. I really enjoyed it. There was a slowdown section in the middle that I felt a little bit, but I think overall the experience of the movie was pretty good. The dinner scenes, I could have done with a little bit better acting in those parts, but I think overall the acting was good. I thought that the effects were pretty good, and most of them held up, except for like the fake blood aspect of it when it was like stained on clothes and stuff like that. The beginning and ending action scenes were really great. Like there was an appetizer and a dessert at the end of the movie and at the beginning of the movie, which I thought was really really well done. I don't understand why that dude tried to kill the albatross, but I think we've kind of already covered that. And other than that, I mean, the music, the cinematography, everything like that was really really good. And for the most part, I liked all the different characters in the movie, and I felt like they did a really good job of just kind of showing the life of a sailor. And even though it kind of sometimes maybe like it would they would say, oh, it's been a week, but it was only like 5 minutes in in movie time. I think they did a good job of just showing all the different aspects and getting it all in there. So in the end, I'm going to give this one a 4 out of 5.
Okay, I'll go next. I really do. I did enjoy the opening scene, the battle, and I think the intensity was there. I think where it lacked was the middle of the movie. I think it got a little boring in the beginning, or in the middle. I apologize. In the middle, I think there was too much like one-on-one conversations, if that makes sense. Like it was seemed to be the commander and just him talking to somebody. I thought that got a little repetitive. Overall, the character development was spot on. I really enjoyed seeing some of these characters develop and grow, especially the little kid. Yemmy said it perfectly. You're like, oh shoot, a kid in the movie. You thought he was going to be annoying, but he wasn't. So I give movie props for that. The costumes are great. The sound effects, the music. Music didn't stand out, but I trust Yummy. I mean, go with it. So overall, I'll give this movie 3.5.
So for me, like I said, the cinematography was great. I thought the acting was pretty good. I mean, there was a few parts here and there, like we've mentioned, that were just kind of like, okay, that's a little weird, but whatevs. Like the movie, I thought did a really good job for the most part. Like I wasn't super bored most of the time. There was a few times I was like, okay, just get on with it. And then, like I said, the ending kind of, I didn't enjoy that it just ended. But other than that, I'll give it a 3 out of 5.
So I kind of agree with most of kind of agree with your terms. Like what we all said. Like overall, I think in the first first hour in the movie, it was a little bit slow. Other than like 15 minutes in the action scene that I really enjoyed. And then like after that, like the movie really started picking up. I did enjoy the island scene with all the different animals and stuff, but that's just me. Cinematography is great, acting was great. So overall, it gives this movie a 4 out of 5.
All right, sounds
I do
like
want
we're
to
all kind of in
say
the same
also,
area.
I think 2 hours is too long for this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys agree with that or
No,
think.
but no, that's fine. I think 2 hours. I mean, I bet a director's cut is like 3. I bet they cut a lot from this movie.
Probably,
honestly.
but
I think the 2 hours is good. I mean, I know you think 2 hours is like all day in terms of movie time, but I think 2 hours for what they did in the movie and how much they showed in the movie was perfect. And I think it, because like I was saying during our talk, like it's not like it's almost like the movie's almost structured like you're actually on the ocean with these people, where it's like it's 10 minutes of an action, and then a couple, like an hour of, just stuff happening, and then boom, another 15-20 minutes of action. And that's kind of how it is on the seas, where it's like you have, a ship battle that lasts maybe for a day or two, and then for months on end, you're just sailing the open seas and doing whatever. And then boom, you run into another, maybe you run into another ship, or you find the ship that you're hunting, like in this case. But that's just me. All right.
Okay.
Greedy, what movie do you have for us today?
All right. Well, I am trying to decide between two right now.
Are we
Do
gonna
I
do a
go
vote
with
right now?
No. You guys might. Just one question. Do I go with the one that I haven't seen or the one that I know is like funny-ish?
Oh, another comedy from Nick.
I would say haven't seen because it's.
All right. Well. All right. I'll go. See, I'm so undecided. All right. I'll go. All right. I got it. I picked.
All
All
right.
right. What I'm gonna go with is Scary Movie, but I'm gonna go with the third one.
Oh,
So-
good choice. That's the best of them.
So
It's gonna be an interesting
I wanted to
experience.
pick this. I wanted to pick this during Halloween, but obviously it wasn't my. I mean, I could have picked it, but I picked another movie instead. So Scary Movie 3. Cindy must investigate mysterious crop circles and videotapes. I'm already laughing because just based off that, I know what's happening. And help the president in preventing an alien invasion. Directed by David Sucker. Pamelia Anderson played as Becca. Jenny McCarthy played as Kate. Marnie Eng as Tabitha, yeah. And, of course, our beloved Charlie Sheen.
Is he
as
beloved
Tom.
though?
Simon Rex as George, and a bunch of others. Yep, it was either this one or Saw. So I haven't seen Saw, and
Tay would be like, "Oh no, not Saul."
Pretty much.
so Scary Movie 3, 2003.
This actually, like, they're not great. But it's fun, and this is definitely the best of the four.
It's,
Yeah.
it's definitely gonna be an interesting podcast with you. Which-
Yeah, the scary movies are interesting.
yeah, that's exactly.
That's all you can say. They're just-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I think 3 is the best, and some of mine and Yemmy's long running
lines, yeah.
jokes come from Scary Movie 3. So
Mhm. All right.
all right,
Well, same year as the movie we just talked about, so I
Yeah.
guess we have some context there.
perfect.
If you want to join the conversation, if you want to join the conversation for Scary Movie 3, just watch the movie before we review it. In 2 weeks, we'll be back to talk about that. And also, don't forget, if you want to join in on the fan vote, just make sure you suggest a movie at the different locations that I said you could or should, including my Discord, our email, and, of course, on the latest episode of Film Freakz with a Z. All right, Scary Movie 3. It's going to be an interesting one. We'll see what happens.
I'm excited.
Okay. You guys have anything else you want to say, or are we good to go?
All
I think
good.
we're good.
Good.
Go.
All right. Well, I am Yemmy the Ferret, and I've been here with...
Greedy Waffle.
Damation.
And Coco Gamer.
And we are Film Freaks with a Z. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.